So Shakuni sets up this game of dice event. And when Shakuni is talking to the Thrashtra and Duryodhana, Shakuni continuously says, Yudhishthira loves the game of dice, but he's not very skilled at it, and so we should do it. Then when you see Yudhishthira, so when Vidur comes to Yudhishthira with the message of playing the game of dice, the first thing Yudhishthira says is, nothing good will come out of playing dice. Nothing good will come out of gambling. We will surely end in a quarrel. And so when you see Yudhishthira, he doesn't seem to like this game. Also, while the game is actually happening, Vidur says, no, actually it's not Vidur. It's, what's his name? Vikarna, who is one of Duryodhana's brothers. That it is very clearly said in the scriptures that 4 things a king should not do. The first one is excessive hunting, excessive alcohol, gambling, and lust, excessive time seeking lust. And so since we know Yudhishthira's personality, he's not going to like something that scriptures have said is a dharma, because we know that his greatest driving factor is dharma. So it's interesting that Shakuni keeps saying this, like not once, not twice. Shakuni says it so often. Like, this is Yudhishthira's weakness, call him for dice. This is Yudhishthira's weakness, call him for dice. And, because Shakuni says it in the Mahabharata, it's the words that Shakuni actually uses. When you speak to general public and, just generally when you hear, not in satsang, but when you hear general public retelling of Mahabharata or comments on the Mahabharata, and everyone has an opinion and feels that they have every right to express their opinion, you'll hear this comment, Yudhishthira had a weakness for gambling. It's totally unfounded. The comment comes in the Mahabharata from the mouth of Shakuni, who is trying to set up this game of dice. It does not come in anybody else's mouth at any other time. But yet, this is the line that people remember from the Mahabharata. Even though it's an incorrect information, then people's perception gets so colored by it. And I find this very interesting because that's exactly how gossip works. What do? We take the juicy bit of the story. And what's the juicy bit of the story? Yudhishthira has a weakness. And what do we repeat when we repeat gossip? Oh, we're not going to repeat he's a really nice guy who had a love for dharma. That's not juicy gossip. It's interesting how we do this, right? We want the story to sound good. And for the story to sound good, the price we pay is truth. And that's exactly the opposite to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira would not pay the price of truth for anything. He would adhere to truth. And so it's interesting that he gets such a bad rep based on this sentence that Shakuni says. Shakuni is so persuasive also, because when you know someone's weakness, you know how to play them. We do this even with family members and friends, right? When we know that some comment's going to instigate them, we purposely say the comment just to instigate them. And, we do it with family and friends in banter, usually in a very mischievous, fun way, usually not deliberately malicious or but when somebody has the mindset of Shakuni, of wanting to bring about destruction, it's not a very playful banter way in which he uses people's weakness. So another interesting thing is that Dhritarashtra is listening to Duryodhana and Shakuni about arranging this game of dice. And nobody else is there. Usually Dhritarashtra will say the right thing because other people are listening. But he knows for a fact nobody is listening. And he himself tells Duryodhana, no good will come out of wealth that you get through gambling. And Duryodhana keeps talking about all this wealth that he saw during the Rajasurya Yagna. And then he's talking about how Yudhishthira gave away so much wealth. And even though what he was trying to do is saying, I want this wealth, he has so much wealth. If you read what Duryodhana is saying, it's praising Yudhishthira's ability to be charitable. Because how much do you have to be able to give away this much? But actually, Yudhishthira had no attachment to wealth, so he gave it away quite freely. And this is, very often when you hear about the Rajasurya Yagna, it's basically you send this horse around to the whole kingdom and then all the kingdoms are under you. So it's like conquering, invading, which doesn't sound really nice, but this is why it works well. Because when Yudhishthira took over all these kingdoms, all these neighboring kingdoms around Hastinapur, a lot of them were very poor. And then some of them were very wealthy. But now, because they all belong to him, basically Yudhishthira redistributed wealth. And so when Duryodhana is talking, he's even saying, to this kingdom, who the king was really poor, Yudhishthira has given 100 servants. Yudhishthira has given, this conch and these curtains and these dishes or vases or whatever. Like there's just so much description of how much is given away. And even the sound of the different types of conches. Like today we have those singing bells. So if you got a big one, it makes a different sound. If you got a small one. So conches also have different sounds. And apparently Yudhishthira had like this incredible collection of conches as a wealth. But why not, right? Why wouldn't it be a wealth? Musical instruments that are very well tuned would be a wealth, especially if you have a skillful player. Sounds. Definitely I know the sound of a conch touches my heart. But if I value it, it's a wealth. So Duryodhana is reiterating all the wealth and saying how much Yudhishthira gave away, so his charitable nature. But also, Dhritarashtra says to Yudhishthira, Duryodhana at one point, and this is amazing. This is like Dhritarashtra tells Yudhishthira, Duryodhana, if you want this wealth, go earn it. Like this is proper fatherly advice. It's not even like Dhritarashtra was incapable of thinking clearly and rightly. It's not even like Dhritarashtra was incapable of giving the right guidance. First guidance, any wealth attained through gambling cannot bless you. Like I wish we could highlight this bold and, italics neon and plaster it somewhere, because people want this quick fix. Win lottery or just, but nothing we win in gambling ever blesses us. Money doesn't bless us, full stop. Having it, not having it is either for a particular purpose as per previous karmas, and then the way we acquire it and what we do with it is what blesses us. Which is why in Diwali, the steps of puja is you wash money. Why? Clean. Make sure the way in which you earn it is clean. The way you spend it is clean. It's a huge part of the being blessed by. But money itself doesn't bless us. Okay, Dhritarashtra gives really good advice. Duryodhana is like, but, literally like the spoiled kid, but Dad, I want it. And so this is where we see Dhritarashtra's weakness. And so many parents do this. I think I've already mentioned it. Parents want the kid to like them. I've seen this sometimes with sevikas also, Balvihar sevikas. They want the kid to like them. So if you scold or if you say no, the kid won't like you. So much so, parents, grandparents, maybe a little bit more grandparents, definitely aunts, uncles, I've seen this. They will give the kid what the kid wants, hiding from the parent so the kid likes them. Parent says no to chocolate, uncle will say, come, yeah, I'll give you chocolate. Okay, now you like me. Okay, good. Like this incredible need for people to like us is there. Of course, general public, we want them to like us. We want everyone to like us. But parent wanting kid to like you, I don't understand this, huh? Because that kid's going to love you. You're the parent. You can be as bekar a parent as you want. They're going to love you. They may not like you, but they love you. But that's what we want. We want them to like us. So how do we make decisions? Why did Dhritarashtra allow Duryodhana to make this decision? Because he wanted Duryodhana to like him. And this entire conversation that Duryodhana is having with Dhritarashtra is telling Duryodhana, if you do this, it will bring an end to you. If you do this, you will suffer. If you do this, we will have war. If you do this, Dhritarashtra is saying it. If you go ahead with this game of dice, it will end in war. If you go ahead with this game of dice, you will suffer. Dhritarashtra is telling Duryodhana not to impress anyone else because nobody else is there. Vidur is not there, Bhishma is not there. It's literally the three of them in the room. And then every time Dhritarashtra says this, Duryodhana says, but dad. Of course, in a more sophisticated way, but essentially that's what he was saying. And finally, Dhritarashtra says, do whatever makes you happy and I will support you. Does Duryodhana even know what's making him happy? Oh. Do whatever makes you happy. No. That can't be the final thing. That can't be the advice we give. Not when the outcome can be war. Not when the outcome is going to affect so many hundreds and thousands of people's lives. Somebody wants to eat chocolate cake and you say, do what makes you feel happy. Okay, take care, fine. We'll forgive you. Even then you should say, do what your body tells you is best for it in this moment of time. Even then, and sometimes body is fine with you eating it. And sometimes body will say, Aaj nahi, today already a bit saturated, tomorrow. Even then the advice, good advice is listen to body. But okay, take care. That kind of consequence is not so elaborate. It doesn't really affect so many else. It's only my self-discipline that's going to get a little bit affected by it. Follow your heart, have the cake, don't have the cake. But this decision that Duryodhana is making is hundreds and thousands of people. Cannot say just do what makes you happy. Especially since the whole conversation he's been saying what you're going to do is wrong and going to bring suffering. Anyway, they go ahead. Shakuni. So in this whole conversation between the three of them, Shakuni is the one that counters Dhritarashtra. Every time Dhritarashtra tries to guide Duryodhana, Shakuni is the one that counters it. So when Dhritarashtra says a Kshatriya should earn wealth through righteous means, Shakuni will say, but what's unrighteous about a game of dice? If both people are consenting, then it's right only, it's dharma. So it was Shakuni that would constantly twist. And, if Dhritarashtra said, go and earn your wealth, Shakuni would tell Duryodhana is not as skilled as Yudhishthira. People wouldn't give him as much as they give Yudhishthira. Actually, Shakuni is insulting Duryodhana, but Duryodhana must have had this low self-esteem that, otherwise he would say, why? Of course, people will, why can't I go and earn my own wealth? I cannot go and earn my, but the Shakuni would do this. Pandavas are stronger, they're going to have more wealth than you. And Duryodhana would totally, see, Dad? So Shakuni was this, intelligence is such an incredible thing. And then the way we use it, anything, the way we use it. So they built a hall. Who did? Kauravas. Why? It had to be as nice as the Pandavas' hall in Indraprastha. Once the hall was ready to celebrate, come see our new house now. You made us come see your new house. So now you come see our new house. Literally, it was that. I tell you, it's so petty and childish. So everyone came, means the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi, and they were staying 3-4 days in this new house. Vidur had come with a message to gamble. I think this bit I told y'all, right? Yudhishthira said, this is no good will come of it. I don't want to. The words are so clear. He has said it at least 7 times. I don't want to accept this invitation. Eventually, he does accept the invitation because Dhritarashtra is king. And obedience to king or adherence to what the king says. And not only is Dhritarashtra king, Yudhishthira really did see him as father figure since Pandu was no longer there. So this is not true for the other Pandavas. Bhim, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev saw Yudhishthira as father. They never saw Dhritarashtra as father. But Yudhishthira, being the oldest, looked at whoever was above him and took that person to be father figure. And maybe there was a part of Yudhishthira that actually hoped that Dhritarashtra would behave in a nice fatherly way, but he's got no delusion about it. He says very clearly to Vidur that Dhritarashtra does not have our interest at heart. And so far, Yudhishthira's understanding of Dharma is so clear that Yudhishthira even quotes, when a father has his child's interest at heart, the child should follow without questioning. When a father does not have the child's interest at heart, the child is not obliged to listen. So much detail in Dharma Shastra. Somebody sat to think about that. The rule's not just listen to your father, especially not at Yudhishthira's age. Yudhishthira is a fully grown person. So does he have to just listen? No. Does he have an out? He has an out. He knows that Dhritarashtra does not have his interest at heart. So why does he go? He tells Vidur, I'll do whatever you say, because he does trust Vidur. Vidur is trustworthy. So in some commentaries, it is Vidur who says, yes, go. In some commentaries, it is Yudhishthira that says, even though you know the game of dice is not the right thing to do, why did you come and deliver the message to me to come to play the game of dice? Vidur answers, because I'm a servant and I have to listen to the command of the king. And Yudhishthira answers, as am I. I'm a servant and I have to listen to the command of the king. So he makes the decision based on himself, but some people, some commentary says that Vidur actually says, come, and it's not that the Dhritarashtra told me to tell you to come. I'm telling you, understanding the laws of Dharma, to come. Whoever makes the decision, both Vidur and the Yudhishthira are experts in dharma. So either one of them, it's a dharmic decision. Go. Now here, Yudhishthira had an out. So Dhritarashtra knew full well this game of dice was going to end in disaster. But he couldn't stop himself from going along with what Duryodhana wanted. And so we all find ourselves in these situations. We know it's not right. We know it's going to end badly, and we're not able to stop ourselves. Yudhishthira knows it's not right, and he's not able to stop it. Now, some people will say he was not able to stop it because it's in adherence to dharma. Although because there's that loophole, when I know the father doesn't have my best interest at heart, I don't have to follow, he did have an out, and he still went along with it because Yudhishthira can't bring himself to be disrespectful. Yudhishthira can't bring himself to look at Dhritarashtra and say, I'm not going to listen to you because you don't have my best interest at heart. It's just too painful a thing for Yudhishthira to do that. Yeah. His sense of respect and reverence to Dhritarashtra and Bhishma and Dronacharya, he wouldn't say that. Even though he doesn't outrightly say it, he hints at it when he gets there, hoping that Dhritarashtra will stop the game of dice. So this is the other thing we have to remember. First, Yudhishthira didn't want to go. Secondly, he did try and stop it. So they get to the game of dice. The game of dice is about to start. Yudhishthira starts saying, as per dharma, da 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 da, as per dharma, da 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 da. And every time he says it, he addresses it to the Dhritarashtra. He's not even talking to Duryodhana and Shakuni. He's talking to the Dhritarashtra. This is dharma. We shouldn't be doing this. Even to the extent of what a right king should do, what a father should do, what everything. And he doesn't mince words. He doesn't sugarcoat things. But he's saying it to Dhritarashtra, in front of Dhritarashtra, saying, I'm listening to you, but this is the right thing for you to do. So you see this incredible, like this purity of Yudhishthira. And it's so easy to be good when another person is good to us. And here you see Dhritarashtra is not being good to Yudhishthira. But Yudhishthira still tries so hard not to make Dhritarashtra love him, but to make Dhritarashtra do what is right. And to ensure that he doesn't do even mildly disrespectful to Dhritarashtra in all his conduct. Who retaliates every time Yudhishthira speaks? Shakuni. Dhritarashtra doesn't say a word. And this is really sad that Dhritarashtra doesn't say a word. Duryodhana says plenty. Duryodhana is very, like full of emotions and very impulsively saying whatever comes into his mind, full of Shakuni shuts him up, takes over, because Shakuni is very, the right word for Shakuni is calculating. So Shakuni constantly tried to instigate Yudhishthira to lose his cool. But Yudhishthira doesn't lose his cool. So he gives away the wealth. He gives away so much wealth. I think I already said this. Like something like 5 pages worth of wealth he gives away. Everything. He gives away everything in the kingdom. There's this forward that goes around often. I think it was introduced by Wayne Dyer, but it's gotten used by many, many speakers. If you squeeze a lemon, what comes out? It's not a trick question. Lemon juice. This is super obvious, right? Like you're looking at me like this is not a profound thing to say, Swamini. If you squeeze a lemon, what will come out? Let's rephrase it. Whatever is inside. Game of dice starts. Every time Shakuni says, I have won. I think I already mentioned this. Shakuni played on behalf of Duryodhana, but that's against the rules. And so when Duryodhana, so firstly Yudhishthira, I didn't say this. So Yudhishthira says, actually we can't play this game of dice because only somebody who's my equal can play. And I have more wealth here than anyone else. And so no one's my equal. So Yudhishthira really tried not to have this game of dice, right? He used all dharmic rules and then he tried to use the actual rules of the game to get the game disqualified. And so Duryodhana says he will merge his wealth with Shakuni's wealth. And Shakuni will play on behalf of both of them, which is not allowed. Even if Duryodhana and Shakuni merged wealth, it was Duryodhana's wealth that was like 4/5 of it. So Duryodhana should have played. But Duryodhana says, no, Shakuni will play on my behalf. Again, not allowed. Firstly, not allowed to combine wealths. Secondly, not allowed to say this person will play on my behalf. Dhritarashtra allows. Every time Yudhishthira says this is not allowed, this shouldn't be done, Dhritarashtra would say, it's okay, it's just a friendly game. Then no, it's just a friendly game. It's okay, we don't have to follow all these rules. Dhritarashtra from the throne would say that. Game starts. They say, what do you want to stake? Yudhishthira will list, I'm giving 100 horses, da-da-da, Then they throw the dice and Shakuni would say, I have won. This went on and on and on and on. And every time it went on, Dhritarashtra would get excited. What did he win? It would come out of his mouth. What comes out of us when we are squeezed? Whatever is inside. What came out of Dhritarashtra? Delight that his son was beating Yudhishthira in a very public setting. It came out how biased he was. Comes out that he was in no way compassionate to the Pandavas. Okay. So much money lost. The whole kingdom lost. Bhishma's blood is boiling. Every time wealth is lost, Bhishma's blood is boiling. Bhishma tries to get up and pick up his mace to attack Duryodhana. Arjuna controls him. Arjuna's blood was boiling because Shakuni is obviously cheating. I'm not sure why Bhishma's blood was boiling. But very, very clear. Arjuna didn't care about the wealth. It was the fact that it was cheating that bothered Arjuna. Yudhishthira did not care about the wealth. In fact, before the game of dice starts, Yudhishthira tells Duryodhana, you want the wealth? We don't have to play this game of dice. I'll give you Indraprastha. I'll gift it to you now itself. Why doesn't that happen? Shakuni won't let it happen. Why won't Shakuni let it happen? Shakuni wanted the war. Yudhishthira has told Duryodhana, you want my wealth? Take it all, every last coin. Every conch you spoke about, every gold plate, take it all. Take entire Indraprastha. We don't have to play this game of dice. So clearly Yudhishthira has said it. Shakuni said, no, we are not charity. Do you think Duryodhana is charity? Do you think he's so below you that you can just gift him everything? Oh, Shakuni is very good at making Duryodhana. And then the minute Shakuni says that you think Duryodhana is below you, oh, Duryodhana totally reacts. Of course, I'm not below you. I can be as efficient a warrior as you. I can be I can go and earn as much wealth as I want to. I don't need you to give me wealth. And then when he was talking to his father, he didn't think he could earn the wealth. That's why he opted for the game of dice. But here in the setting of the game of dice, what does he say? So interesting we are. And Shakuni knew the right words to say. This game of dice would not have happened if Shakuni wasn't playing everybody. He was playing everybody. Shakuni wasn't playing only Duryodhana. He was playing Yudhishthira also. He played Dhritarashtra also. The only person Shakuni did not or was not able to play was Vidur and this brother Vikarna. Vikarna is Duryodhana's brother. Such a nice guy. In all the Kauravas, we usually say 100 negativities, right? There must be one good virtue somewhere. Vikarna. His name also doesn't start with D, because we've also heard that all of them start with the word D. That's not true. I don't think there's 100 names with D. Quite a few were D, but there were lots of other alphabets that were used in naming the 100 kids. I have yet to meet anyone who knows more than 10 names of the Kauravas. Even though they all spoken about her in the Mahabharata, like when each one dies, the name is said. So actually you can write them down because they actually specified which person was killed and on which day of the battle by being. But most of us don't know all the names. Even I think I know only 3 names. Duryodhana, Dushashan, Vikarna, and Dushala, the sister. Yeah, I only know 3 names. I might remember more as the Mahabharata goes along. Okay, so everything's lost. The entire kingdom is lost. What does Shakuni say? Is that your wealth, Yudhishthira? Is that all your wealth? This is more wealth than anybody has in all the land, huh? Like, why would he say such a thing? Because that's not what Yudhishthira considers as wealth. Yudhishthira should have kept quiet, no? Yes, you're all nodding. Yudhishthira can't keep quiet. Why? Because that's not what he considers wealth. So he was played. My greatest wealths are my brothers. Why he had to say that? What was Shakuni going to ask for next? If that's what you consider wealth, that's what you should have staked. Why you staked all these elephants and maids and gold and all of that? That has no value to you. So he stakes Sahadev. loses. He stakes Nakula, loses. And then Shakuni says, you only staked the sons of Madhavi. You haven't staked the sons of Kunti. Could Yudhishthira bear to hear that? There's no way Yudhishthira could bear to hear that. Especially since Kunti loved Nakula and Sahadev more. She made it a point to pamper Nakula and Sahadev more. Their mother died. She became their mother. She made sure she treated them so well. When they used to be in exile, Kunti made Bhim carry Nakula and Sahadev. Arjuna can walk, Yudhishthira can walk. So Bhim used to carry Nakula, Sahadev, and Kunti. Every now and then he'd carry Yudhishthira and Arjun. Just that one night when they had to crawl out of that fire. That time he carried them all. Otherwise, no. Kunti would say, I'm tired, Bhim, carry me. Bhim would carry. And carry Sahadev also. And carry Nakula also. They haven't said they tired. Kunti used to tell Bhim to carry them. When the mother has treated them like this, would Yudhishthira allow anyone to say? So who he'll bet next? Arjuna. To bet. This is, how much Yudhishthira loves his brothers. Because when he was betting the other wealth, he used to say, I bet 1,000 cows. That's it, one sentence. When he bets Sahadev, one full page. Sahadev, who is intelligent, Sahadev, who is compassionate, Sahadev, who is the brightest amongst us, who is loyal, who is, oh my gosh, how much he praises. Like he's betting him, but you can see the love in the way he's talking about him. Of course, it's not love if you bet someone. So a little bit contradiction here, but what to do? He got played. When it comes to betting Arjuna, that praise tripled. The praise that he gives of Arjuna is more than Nakula, Sahadev, and Bhim put together. He loses Arjuna. He loses Bhim. And then, as you know, he loses himself. They're standing there. Literally all of them head down. Here you see the loyalty that the Pandava brothers have for Yudhishthira. They didn't say a word. Somebody is betting you and you're going to become a slave. And most of us would be like, yo, bro, what you do? Don't do this. You can't bet me. What are you doing? Not a word. Not a word from the Pandavas. And once they were lost, they accepted it. Slave. They princes, huh? To go from prince to slave is quite a big deal. The level of discipline and culture and virtues that the Pandavas had, that they could accept this change in status. And what Shakuni says, is that all the wealth you have? Is that all the wealth he had? His greatest wealth was, their greatest wealth was Draupadi. So Shakuni says, so stake her. Bhim speaks. Bhim, to the effect of, these are not the words Bhim says, I am paraphrasing, don't you dare. Arjuna looks at Bhim and says, quiet. Yudhishthira bets Draupadi. and loses. Duryodhana, Dushashan, Shakuni are so Karna. We cannot forget Karna. Are so overjoyed, so excitable, so visibly celebrating. They have won Draupadi. It is shameful just to see their reaction to winning Draupadi. And it's the way they react is itself is offensive. And so she is summoned. Duryodhana says, go and bring her, so that she knows she is lost and she's made a slave this moment. The poor guy, that servant who has to go to call Draupadi, is shaking like a leaf. I'm going to do this bit quickly. This bit's very painful. He says, Draupadi, you have been lost. Please, you've been summoned into the hall, that the sabha. She says, did Yudhishthira have nothing else to play that he bet me? Is her first sentence. Servant replies, he had lost everything else, including himself, before he bet you. Draupadi looked at him and said, if he had lost himself, how can he bet me? He's already lost. You can't play then. I'm not coming. Servant shaking comes back to the court and says, this is what you said. Karna. I'm going to repeat this many times because at the end of the Mahabharata, everybody feels very bad for Karna. I want you all to remember this super clearly. Karna tells her, why is she pretending to be so self-righteous? Anyway, she's an easy woman that has 5 husbands. What difference does it make if she comes in front of more men? It's not like she has any shame. Tell her to come immediately. Karna. And who's he saying this in front of? This is Draupadi's father-in-law. Dhritarashtra is basically Draupadi's father-in-law. Grandfather-in-law, Bhishmacharya is sitting there. Guru, Drona is sitting there. Draupadi's 5 husbands are sitting there. So he gets summoned again. The maid servant goes and says, Draupadi still refuses. She says, I will not come unless Yudhishthira tells me to come. This is where you see Draupadi's, firstly, incredibly brave, incredibly, what's the word? She's not easily taken, she's not timid, that she's just going to do whatever she's told. Extremely clear in her thinking, in her logic. She says, if Yudhishthira tells me I'm a slave, I will accept it. So go and ask Yudhishthira if it is dharma to bet a wife. Now, in the meantime, this servant comes back, answers this, tells Duryodhana. Then Duryodhana is furious, Karna is furious, just bring her, is the statement they're basically saying. Yudhishthira calls one of his very loyal servants, whispers, tell Draupadi to come, because she's now our only hope to make the elders see this is a dharma. They will no longer listen to me. Because Yudhishthira has already tried, right? Yudhishthira has really tried to explain this is not dharma, don't do this. So Yudhishthira says, she is our last hope. So this message goes to Draupadi in secret. Draupadi would not have come if Yudhishthira did not say come. Yudhishthira does say come. But y'all, please remember that he doesn't say, come, you a slave. He says, come because you are our last hope in ensuring that dharma happens. Of course, this was his biggest gamble. Because bringing her into that court, that's his biggest gamble. She's no longer safe. But it's also his confidence in Draupadi. You wouldn't bring someone into the battlefield unless you think they're able to handle a battle. Especially not Yudhishthira, who loves Draupadi immensely. So one, yes, he gambles. Does Yudhishthira gamble? Yes. Bringing Draupadi into the Sabha is a gamble. But it's also because he has so much trust and faith in her ability. Third, before the game of dice started, what's his name? Vedavyasa had told Yudhishthira this was going to happen. Narad Muni had told Yudhishthira this was going to happen. And when Draupadi was born out of the fire, a voice from the heavens said, she will be the cause of the destruction of the entire Kuru dynasty. When Yudhishthira tells Draupadi to come into the court, it's his last resort, but it's also him playing the card of destiny. The very purpose of Draupadi's birth is this moment that she has to fulfill. Actually, Draupadi does a lot. It's not the only thing that she has to do. Draupadi serves many great purposes, but this is definitely the one that's most epic. So Draupadi is brought into the court, but the way she's brought into the court is not nice. The Shashan himself goes because, like I said, the servant is shaking. And Duryodhana says this, actually, Duryodhana? Karna, I think it was Duryodhana. The servant is too weak. He can't do anything. Dushashan, you go. Dushashan goes to get Draupadi. She's wearing, effectively today, it would be a towel. She's about to go take a shower. She's put a towel around her. When Dushashan goes to take Draupadi, Draupadi runs. Remember, they've come to Hastinapur. They're living in this new palace for 3 days. All the women are staying together. So Draupadi runs towards Gandhavri's room. Before she reaches Gandhavri's room, Dushashan catches her by her hair and drags her, pulling her hair. To do that to anyone. What's she wearing? A towel. Effectively, a towel. Just already, this is so inhumane. Already, it's so inhumane. This is not the way to treat anyone. Leave alone, she's a queen. Now a slave. She gets to the hall and she fights. She asks, can Yudhishthira lose me if he's already lost himself? Nobody answers. Then she asks, is wife a piece of property that can be gambled? This is why Draupadi is one of the foremost women in women's rights. Unfortunately, people in that day and age thought Women are property. Draupadi gives so many arguments to prove that women are not property. Listening to her, Bhishma weeps. He doesn't stop what's happening, but he is crying. Drona is weeping. Neither of them will go against what is happening. Drona, we know it's his weakness. Bhishma, I'm not sure. Maybe Bhishma also felt that this is the hand of destiny, this is what has to happen. And so, like Yudhishthira, he allowed it to happen because fate has played this card. Maybe that's what Bhishma was thinking. That's definitely what Yudhishthira was thinking. But when you read the words, it sounds as though Bhishma is genuinely confused. Maybe part of him did believe women were property. And it's just that he liked Draupadi, and so he was sad that she was being treated this way. But as per Dharma, women were property. It seems that's the kind of thing that you see, it feels like that is going on in Bhishma's head. Some of y'all already know what's going to happen. Most of y'all already know what's going to happen. But on a side note here, after the war is over and Draupadi is queen, she does so much work. And by the time Draupadi dies, women were not considered their husband's property. Could not be sold, could not be given away, and could definitely not be given in a game of dice. She did a lot of work towards that. She made a lot of progress. Unfortunately, it's still there. You know, we would say it's there in the East, but not there in the West. It's there in the West. We've come far. We've come far. Even me sitting here as a woman running the ashram, we've come far. Credit where credit is due. So thank you, Draupadi, on behalf of all women, because she really took leaps in terms of making the changes we have today. She wanted no woman to suffer what she suffers. Every argument she put forth did not help. Finally, every time she spoke, it was counted. Shakuni did a lot of the countering. Karna did a lot of the countering. Duryodhana did a lot of countering. At one point, Duryodhana tells Draupadi, stop fighting. You need not fight. I will treat you well. Come. Ugh, so horrid. He lifts up his pants and hits his bare thigh. Come and sit here. Why lift up your pants? That was the end of Duryodhana. In that moment, he determined his fate. When he said that to Draupadi, there was no way Bhima was going to let him live. Please note, I'm not able to say it the way he was saying it. It was highly perverted, highly lustful, highly inappropriate, the way he did it. I can't even watch when actors do it. I remember one of the chick camps, one of the guys did it in the chick camp as part of a drama. think I scolded him for a solid hour after that, even though he played his part really well. Hi. Karna says, they are no longer queens and kings. Disrobe them so that they can look like servants. The 5 Pandavas took out their crowns and their jewelry. Draupadi wasn't wearing anything. She was wearing a towel. She was about to get into the shower. You say disrobe them so that they can look like slaves? Okay. Yudhishthira took out his crown, took out his jewelry. Arjuna, Sahadev, Nakula, everyone, they took out their jewelry. Done, right? Who said this? Karna. He should have been quiet after that. Disrobe Draupadi is Karna's idea. She's wearing one cloth around her. Disrobe her means what? It's foolish, the Shashan also. He tries. The Shashan reaches for Draupadi's cloth to pull it out. Draupadi had used everything in her power. She looked over at her 5 husbands, not one, she had 5. Not ordinary husbands, they were demigods. All of them born to devatas. No ordinary husband. Yet she's standing there, ready to be disrobed, stripped in public, in a hall full of men. She's the only woman there. Yeah. We have to come back to Vikarna, but let's just do this and get it over with. Husbands cannot help her. She has argued. She has used logic. She has used her intelligence. She's used her skill set. She's used every possible talent she has. It has failed. There is no way she's going to be physically able to fight off to Shashan. He's physically way stronger than her. Wasn't going to happen. This is where you see Draupadi's purity and her incredible faith, Draupadi's absolute dedication. Not for an iota of a second does Draupadi think, now what will happen? When Karna says disrobe her, Draupadi closes her eyes and says, I knew, Krishna, it would be you who will save me. Not somebody help, please. That's not what she says. She knows exactly who is going to help her. And she says, I knew Krishna. Even though she argued, even though she looked at her husbands, even though everything else was done that she could possibly do, she already knew, I knew Krishna. Only you will save me. There's complete faith. There isn't a shadow of a doubt. Will you come, Krishna? No. It isn't a request. It isn't possibly now, maybe come help. No. Her eyes are closed and she is thinking of Krishna. And I mentioned this in Janmashtami. There was an incident maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I can't remember. Even maybe before she was married, I can't remember. But Krishna scratches his hand and it's a small little paper cut, like a paper cut. Draupadi takes her sari, rips off a piece of cloth and ties it around Krishna's finger. Just a small little bit of fabric. Krishna got hurt, she tied it around his finger. When she did that, Krishna smiled. This Krishna smile. Why Krishna smiled? The scriptures tell us, what should we give to the Lord? Whatever it is we want. Whatever we give is what we will get. Draupadi gave cloth. Why did Krishna smile? He knew that is what Draupadi will need. When she closed her eyes and said, I knew Krishna, only you will save me. Krishna became cloth and wrapped himself around Draupadi. How much cloth will Krishna become? Infinite. Yeah, the Lord is infinite. If he chooses to become cloth. Dushashan pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and Dushashan got tired. There was a mountain of cloth. Draupadi stood perfectly still, eyes closed, thinking only of Krishna. Later on, when Draupadi meets Krishna, Krishna looks at her and says, why you took so long? I was waiting for 1 hour for you to say my name. Why you took so long? Many times people will tell the story and say, Draupadi thought Krishna and he came. He was already there. He already knew she needed him. Draupadi's honor was not even for a second, a iota of a second. Draupadi remains one of the most powerful women in all of India because she was a queen, because she brought about immense social changes, because she was a woman who could have 5 husbands, each one totally besotted with her. But most of all, because Krishna became cloth just to save her. Who wouldn't want to be Draupadi? In fact, in the Mahabharata, she's not called Draupadi. It's her name. But when you're reading the Mahabharata, she is called Krishna. Sita's name is Rama, feminine of Ram. Ram is made longer, Rama. Krishna's name made feminine, Krishna, is not given to his wife. It's given to Draupadi. I don't call her Krishna because it will get confusing. But when you read Mahabharata, the name they use for Draupadi is Krishna. One of the most powerful women. Enough. More happens, but enough. Let's just stay in Krishna's embrace, wrapped in his cloth. Any questions? There'll be 300. Any questions? Except why? I'll answer that question. Unless we see how low we can fall, we won't understand the value of not falling. It had to have fallen so low that we get shocked and think we should not fall. If there's no questions, we'll conclude. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit kabhak bhave, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.